In this video, we'll go through what's known as Activity 3 of the Module 2 Water as a Shared Resource curriculum. And this is going to be for us to add a slider for evaporation. So I am in our base model that is from Project Guts. Notice the URL here. However, I'm going to remix it so that I can make changes to it in my own account on Star Logo Nova. So I remix it, it's now in mine, and so this is what you'll have students do as well. And you can notice that it now has a new name as well as a new URL. And it brings along, once we remix everything, it brings along all the code that we need. And in the previous video, we went through the code for evaporation, and that's here. And notice that it's hard-coded in. We call it hard-coded because the evaporation rate is it's right here. It's already set as a percent chance, and in this case, this is a 5% chance of it getting smaller, and that is for each loop through the forever. So it kind of adds up over time that it will get smaller, and it gets smaller by this amount. And then if it gets too small, less than a tenth of a size, it will delete. But this is where we want to focus in on, instead of having it a 5% chance, could we just use a slider and allow us to adjust that? So we've remixed it, and we can make changes. A slider is a widget, so we are going to create a new widget. It is a horizontal slider, and we're going to call it evaporation rate. We'll add that. Widgets always end up in the upper left, and we can move that. And remember that the trick for sliders is the default is 10, and if you want to make it, let's say 100%, we have to add the number and then hit return at the end, and that will adjust the slider, and we can check and see that the numbers go all the way up and all the way down from 0 to 100. And there we go. We're going to get out of the edit widgets, and so we've created the slider, but it doesn't have, it's not connected to the code yet. So that's what we're going to do here. We're in the turtle tab, and we're looking at the evaporation. And remember, sliders in this case are replacing the number, and in this case it's replacing the 5. Sliders are found in interface, and we can see this block here, slider value. We can bring that out, and it will adjust into the area where a number was, and we choose which slider, and in this case it is the evaporation rate, the only one that we have at this point. And we should be able to run our code right now. So run code, setup. And so I'm going to start, the way I test is move this all the way up, and we should see, notice how quickly these water drops are disappearing. So that is 100% of evaporation. If I want it to be a lot less, we could bring it to 0, and we should see that the water will stay the same and doesn't change in size.